Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to our second live stream of the day, part of our Wolfram language design review series, our incremental language design collection, language development rather collection. All right, first functions for the day: UnderBrace and OverBrace. Prototype.
Yep, so you can evaluate this and evaluate some examples. John's also put together a reference page for
Do I
UnderBrace
want to do
itself.
that?
Yes, that's for a farther section, but it's fine.
Why am I not seeing? Why is it not going?
Just because it wasn't declared in the system context, I think.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Let's say there are only typesetting rules here, so.
Lovely. It's very nice. I don't know whether graphic design wise, I mean, this is what we get because this is what the extensible character does, basically.
Yes.
Nice. Given that we have this, are we not going to need a side brace as well?
I mean, we have, we already do that sort of thing for like piecewise and that sort of thing.
I know we do. I know. So I'm just saying, don't we know? I think we should have a left brace, right brace, under brace, over brace, left brace, right brace. I think that would be useful. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's not as obvious kind of what the scope is of what you're wrapping, visually, I mean. But
that's
yes,
that is
could
the
be done.
story of it. Yeah, right.
I mean that I think well, I mean, I guess I don't know if we're literally using brace or some other character here.
I think it would be brace. Literally brace, yeah.
Right, in which case this would not behave like overbrace and underbrace, right? Because left brace and overbrace and underbrace, right? We could, those are in a box and we can give that meaning, right? If you just have left, if you just are using braces here, right? Suddenly it's right that that's a syntax error, right? And we
No, you
don't.
don't
Well,
want to do that. Yes.
Well, is Steven suggesting a generating expression, the literally the symbol left brace?
Right. Yes.
Yeah, but it should be inert. It should be the case. Look, here's
right.
what we should do.
But my point, the point I'm making is,
I know the point you're making, and what I'm suggesting is we have another character that does this. Should not be a literal brace.
okay.
Because this should be able to, and I assume that is the case, I should be able to enter this and it just comes back the same.
Yeah.
Just like
I mean, it doesn't with this prototype, but yes, that would be the implementation.
Right. So that's what I'm suggesting. I'm just saying left visual brace or whatever you want to call it.
One question to actually ask here is right in that you can actually select that under bracket because it's not selectable. So if you double click on that bracket and then type like a minus or something, you can replace it. With the under brace or whatever, left brace or right brace, we're probably going to make it a template box or a tag box. And so the rules are not going to be quite so selectable. But if you're fine with that, then we can actually just make it
I mean, do we
Yeah.
want to? Why not make them like a prefix and postfix operator? Oh, right, because these aren't operators, they're letter like. Yeah, see, yeah, right. There would be real differences. The experience will be different with left and right brace than it would with.
That's life. Horizontal and vertical are different.
Okay.
We can easily put it in, and then you have a little play with it, and then see if we can live with it.
Right, but
hopefully
this is
we
the useful.
So,
I mean,
yep.
We should have done this years ago. This is an obviously useful thing to annotate your. Now, how does this relate to highlighted? Right, if I say A highlighted B, C, and by the way, whatever is the case, we should make a guide page that shows all of these different cases, right? This thing, or, something that says, under brace, B, important, Or that's unfortunate. Is that really what we want to do?
What's
That's the only thing we can do right now
Right.
without doing something really wonky with the boxes.
See, I like this. I mean, we should have some place where we have a gallery. Now that we have gallery guide pages, we should have a gallery page of emphasis methods or something. Annotation, visual annotation.
I don't properly know what a gallery guide page is. Do you just mean something that has some images in it, or do you mean something else?
There's I think it's a different oh, for God's useless. That is another thing we should report, but well, this is not what I'm talking about. Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah, this is the only kind of thing I'm aware
Yeah,
of.
I know. So where is it? It's supposed to be a link. Where is it? It's kind of annoying.
Well, there's no.
I mean, you're looking at 14.3 docs. Is it in 14.3?
It was supposed to be. So go push that back to the documentation. Who's project managing here? Carla.
Me, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you please push that back and find out from Brett and
Mhm.
Shoddy what happened to the gallery pages and why they're not linked? And
Okay.
Brian also. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And then tell them we want a visual annotation guide page, probably a gallery page, that shows all these different things here. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think this is lovely. I mean, I think it's very useful. to people.
There is, by the way, a guide page right now called Viewers in Annotation that has a bunch of this kind of stuff.
Okay, fine. I think it should have a gallery as well. So you
It's
can actually
labeled
see
and
the
framed
little-
and highlighted and squiggled and some of those sorts of things.
Is there a squiggled?
Yes.
We added that a couple versions ago.
Yes, because you wanted it. Why?
Very hard to
is
see.
that thing-
Well, yeah, on a
content's so
very
small.
yes, on a one character thing, it's difficult to see. That's right.
That's weird. Is that really what it's supposed to do?
No, it's acting like underlined.
Which is another.
Right. I mean, squiggled was very much right. Simulate the appearance of the spell checker. If the spell checker applied to math cells, right, that is what it would look like.
Yeah,
Why don't we have this work? Or is it a style?
It's a style.
But under bar does work, but does underbar work for the second argument?
No.
No.
No,
We should
and
probably add that.
that's actually an open question in this agenda because the braces have kind of a natural point that you would attach things to, but other characters don't. And so do we want to argument things that
Yes.
just okay,
We'd just do the obvious thing of putting it in the middle.
including even like parenthesis, over parenthesis, under parenthesis.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in a perfect world, we would have a third argument, which is left, right, center.
For where the label goes.
Yeah, which I can see being relevant, particularly for left brace, for example, or right brace. Putting the, either you center it or you put it, you kind of align it bottom, top, center. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Seems like the right way to do it. I like this very much. We should have had this years ago.
I think it'd be kind of fun if you could set some defaults so that you're using under parens instead of normal parens for everything like input stuff.
No, it would not be a good idea.
That would be crazy. I mean, I'm already concerned about the fact that, right, you'd have a visual brace which is distinct from a normal brace, and could you easily tell those apart?
Sorry, so again, the
Right. Well,
left
you said you wanted a left brace and right brace. I mean,
we
could
might
you,
want a difference in the visual appearance.
I was just
Let's
thinking
look
about
at
all the times that Itai is trying to read code out for someone to type and is saying a left brace, and someone types a left brace instead of spelling out left brace, but that's a minor concern.
I think that's a minor concern.
Yeah, we kind of talked about this first point just now
Yep.
of do we want the label there?
We do.
Second point is, do we want an under-over variant, or is it fine to essentially just nest under parenthesis over parenthesis to get under-over
I think
effects?
you nest them. I think it's
Yeah.
it's unusual. You're going to need both of them, and if you
Mhm.
need both of them, nest them. So long as they nest properly, so long as they don't have one is bigger than the other or something. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is, I think Mitai was pointing out, but this would change the parsing of some pre-existing inputs that have underbar boxes.
What is that?
no, underbar is fine because that
Or sorry,
only,
yeah.
Yeah.
but if you looked at the full form of, uh,
The normal full form of this. I
right.
don't care.
I mean,
Because previously it didn't even parse, did it?
it did parse, right? And look, it
Oh,
parsed
it's an
right there.
underscript. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean,
This is
I mean,
modernity.
it is a backward incompatible change. I mean, it's certainly one we can live with, but it's something we should be aware of.
Yep.
Sorry, one more. Just back to the left brace, right brace thing again. I think it was kind of suggested that there would be some way of like raw boxes, that it would be a different character, but we kind of need to do this as a tag box or a template box. I don't think it works any other way.
Okay.
It
Then just do it.
because it needs a scope. If we tried to do a raw
see.
thing, now it's an operator, and the operator has to have a precedence,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
not
going to
going to
be
work. It's
really
not going to work. It's not
non-obvious.
going to work. Yeah, it's
So,
not going to
so
work.
we need a wrapping construct, and that would be a tag box or a template box.
That's fine. But I think it's a separate question when you have very tall braces, whether it is the same, whether it should be the same character.
Okay, but once you have a wrapping construct, there's nothing that prevents us from using the same character. We
Fine.
can, of course, decide to do something else later, but it means we can spin up something quickly without having to, do character design or Unicode research or whatever.
Right. About the other characters being left and rightified. I can sort of imagine left bracket and right bracket being useful. I mean, we could just put all of them in. It's not a big cognitive load. It's more symbols, but it's not a big cognitive load.
Well, those three basic characters, there are actually a lot more characters that don't have the rotated forms that are kind of, grouping characters in some way.
Well, we got underbar, overbar, which is the other. I mean, yes, I understand. We've got floor and ceiling and God knows what else, but
yeah, a whole bunch of other stuff that is almost never used. And I'm happy for it to stay that way.
Yeah. Left parenthesis, right parenthesis. I don't know. I would be let's put in these ones. Does anybody else have an opinion about that? Left bracket, right bracket.
Right bracket is theoretically useful, right? That's used for like evaluation, right? Indicating evaluation. But
More often it's a right bar. Yeah, okay, so that raises the other thing, right bar, left bar. That does seem more useful, particularly if you can label them. I kind of like that idea. Right bar, left bar.
Doing an optional label, given that we're already putting together a containing box structure for this, doing an optional label is perfectly reasonable.
So I think, left bar, I can see that being quite nice. Left bar, expression, comma, label, comma, bottom, for example. aligns the label. That's probably be right bar for that one. That would be a kind of an evaluation at type thing. Okay, this is what I propose.
Okay.
Let's move on. I like these. We should have done these years ago. All right, NestGraph.
This, I guess, was a question that was forwarded along that I was told we would potentially have some discussion of
Yep.
when you have multiple edges and there are multiple copies of a destination in NestGraph,
Yep.
how do you actually indicate that? And I think the proposal was basically we might have an option, but I don't know. Charles, did you have something?
The question is whether we remove the multiples or not. Right, Charles?
Right. By default, we remove it, the multiple.
I know, but I don't want that always to happen.
Yes.
Right. So we probably need an option to determine whether that happens.
Right. That's...
Did you have a suggested option name, Charles, or?
Remove duplicate edges,
there
or
was include multi. I'm thinking going more with multi edges, right? We have multi edge style, or we can say include multi edge style, multiple edges.
I'm sorry, what are you talking about styles?
So I say we have multi edge style, which is an old option for plot, right? So maybe we just keep the multi edge name scheme.
Wait a minute. Does this work in graph, or did you not document it properly for graph?
No, this was graph plot.
So why isn't this obsolete?
Well, because
this was graph plot. You know what, Charles? Having things where we have layers of stuff archaeologically built is just not working, right? We cannot do that. If we had things in graph plot, they have to be supported in graph. What is this?
Well, I wasn't there when it was added. Essentially, it's the styling for multiple edges.
What does it do?
You can specify.
What does it do? These plots are identical. What does it do?
So you can set up multiple edges goes to none, so it won't draw the multiple edges. Right? I think that was one of the features I know about it.
Okay, so why isn't it supported in graph?
Because it doesn't make any sense in graph. So I think a while back.
Why does it not make any sense in graph?
Because graph, you specify a graph and then we give you an auto visualization. We are not styling the graph. We have we have specific option to style the graph.
Well, there's edge style, right?
Exactly. And then we don't go to the distinction of the different, structurally.
What other options are there like multi-edge style?
In the current graph, or you mean in the old? There is no option.
In either one. Either one.
No, we just have a edge style. We don't have anything else. And I think that's one of the few one, if I remember correctly, we don't support. It's actually problematic.
Well, it's not documented. Oh, is it? Am I going crazy? It's not documented here. So what the heck's going on here? It's not documented.
Right, it's probably when we did the rewriting of graph plot and
you know
we updated
what?
graph plot.
Somebody goofed, is what happened. I suggest that we obsolete it, the multi-edge style thing. I don't see why we need it. Because the way people do this in practice is they remove multiple edges by saying simple graph, right?
Right.
Yeah, and half the examples on the ref page don't actually even include the options. So
as I say, because we rewrote the graph plot, we integrated the graph plot with a new graph framework. And there is some obscure option like that one. We have an obsolete and then we just keep it there. So that's pretty much it.
I know. I think we should obsolete it. So please find out what other options
but,
are.
Well, are we also obsoleting graph plot then? I mean,
no, we're not.
We shouldn't.
Graph plot has its own value.
Yes.
Right. So why would we obsolete an option to graph plot, even if it's, even if it's not a general
Because we
graph
don't
option.
want it, because it's very confusing to people. Okay, what are these things?
So
Okay.
coordinate tool option, I think, is coming from the graphic editor, right? So we don't support it. Data range, obviously, since we handle our coordinate automatically. There was no point of supporting data range.
Guys, you need to, I mean, self-loop style, for example, that would be a thing that we could have in graph as well.
But
right?
why? I mean, it's not different than multiple edges, right? There's
well,
no
what does
point.
it do?
Exactly. The old graph.
Well, click on the ref page and
the
see.
old graph plot applies style to it, so you can increase the radius of the multiple edges.
You know what?
So
somebody really goofed here. This is really bad. You didn't even document these things. Look.
No,
not
Steven,
even in the
if I
graph plot
remember correctly,
documentation.
that was me. Okay, no one goofed. That was me. We updated graph plot. We make it in line with graph, like you suggested at the time. So there is a set of options at the time we say we don't support in graph because they don't make sense, right? We just haven't obsolete them. They're still in the system. You can still copy them and use it in graph plot, even though they are not documented for backward compatibility. They are still there. So if right now we want to obsolete them,
I think we should obsolete them. Okay, we should mark them as obsolete. We don't have to take them out, but we should mark them as obsolete.
Great, we'll do that.
Right, and obviously things like data range and display function are coming from the graphics or viz world because it's a graph plot.
Well, we either document them or not.
Well, I mean, you're not going to obsolete data range, right?
No,
I mean,
I understand that. I understand that, but then we should document it in graph plots.
Okay, we'll do that.
What is coordinate tool options? What is coordinate tool options?
I don't know what it does here. In Geo, I use that to create this little box telling you the coordinates. So you can click on and do.
Right. That's probably right. It's a graphic. Like I said, this comes from the graphics world. It's a general graphics option, right? And we don't maybe and it doesn't appear in all. Right, just you can give it to any viz function, but it's not going to be listed except possibly in.
Sorry, I don't understand. What does it do? What does it do here?
Try click and click in period. That's what works in GeoGraphics, and then it shows where you are. Yeah.
Right. It's for the. Yeah.
Why is that coordinate tool not? How would I normally get that coordinate tool? There's no attached cell to get that coordinate tool. I didn't know that was there.
It's been there for at least 20 years, if not 30, John.
Okay, but aren't we supposed to get, let's make sure that on the global project list is, what do we call them? Attached, what do we call those things?
But this isn't right. This isn't an attached cell. It's how you interact with graphics, and it's documented on the graphics page, right? Just like in Graphics 3D, you can rotate things using your mouse, right?
I mean, this is something that's been there since the 90s, and we updated it in version 6.
I certainly didn't remember it was there. I had no idea it was there. We should talk about this in some other meeting. Okay, because the attached cell for graphics is
there is no attached cell for graphics.
I know there is, but that's something we should look at. And if we had it, then I would know that this function existed. All right, let's go back to NestGraph. Okay, why do we think it's correct for NestGraph not to produce multi-edges?
Well, it was not a matter that it was correct. So there is obvious scenario, like when we build it like a crawler, right? If you simulate as a crawler. But at the time when we introduced NestGraph, as well as most of the functionality in Graph on, I think, the first or second release, we didn't yet support or have support for multiple edges, right? So there are few functions where, could return multiple edges, but we return a sample graph, and we do the conversion at the end. And there have never been any major requests of actually generating them. So,
okay, well, I'm giving you a request to generate them. So let's figure out how to do it. Okay. So does this have multiple edges? Well, I can certainly make multiple edges by doing that. Okay, so what do we want it to be? I mean, I think include multiple edges would be a perfectly reasonable. What do we call multiple edges? I mean, include. Anything wrong with include multiple edges?
no.
Okay. Now, there is a nice resource function. That's what it's called. Oh, NestGraph tagged, maybe. Okay, this is super useful. Being able to say which, see what I'm saying? Which one of those it came from. Am I making sense? So this is an edge style question. Which is only relevant if you include multiple edges, right? Then if you don't include multiple edges, then you kind of don't know which of these is which. How should we do this? I mean, all that stuff. Did people understand the point here? Charles, you understand the point?
I guess so. So essentially you want this, I mean, we tag the edge and then you want an associated styling based on the tag. Is that correct?
I'm sorry.
So you build the graph and each multiple edge or all the edges have a tag, right? And then.
Well, they don't have a tag, but they could have a tag.
Right. But I say for this function, they seem to have a tag and then you use a style, a edge style to actually highlight some of those.
All right. So, I mean, basically, it's whether you tag the edges, but then you need. Okay, so help me out here, guys. Right? What we're doing is, okay. So one possibility would be, which is slightly exotic, would be to say this. That'd be cool. Do you understand what I'm suggesting?
Yeah, have the style propagate through.
Right. I like this actually quite a bit. And if you style it, then you get multiple edges because you have to have multiple edges. Does that make sense? Guys, hello.
Yeah, conceptually it makes sense.
About this.
Yeah, I don't know, Charles, are there any like technical issues with that in terms of?
Well,
I mean, conceptually, we can always implement everything. It's just.
No, but Charles, it's consistent, is it not, with what happens here? If I say style, 1 goes to 2 red, 2 goes to 1. Beautiful.
right, but that's
Completely consistent with that.
Right,
Close, but
right,
not exactly the same.
It's not exactly the same, but it is close.
Yep.
This would be super useful. I suggest we implement this.
I mean, wouldn't the style of 2 slot red, wouldn't that be styling the vertex?
No, because this thing is an edge.
It's the endpoint of an edge.
But that's the slight difference. So it's more a matter how you interpret that. But yes,
It seems more useful to style the edge.
Well, what happens if you evaluate this right now? With
It ignores it.
What's the vertex list?
Amusing.
right.
So there's literal style wrappers as vertices.
well, it's an expression, right? Really doesn't matter if it's style or anything else.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's not
And
quite
then
the
the
right way
math
to do it, but
breaks. You have two times a red 4.
yeah, I know. So maybe this isn't the right way to do it, but so then suggest a way to do this. Look, one possibility is somehow to combine the include multiple edges and the tagging of edges into one option. So that basically what we say is, I mean, we could reuse that option, I suppose. And we could say multi-edge style arrow red, green, blue or something. It's a little weird because, that's, well, I mean, actually it would be interesting. You could say things like cyclic, whatever it is. Or you could just say automatic. And that would just use the default.
Wait, so we wouldn't be deprecating multi-edge style?
I don't know. Guys, look, we need an option that is going to style the edges. We need an option that is going to show different edges differently. Am I making sense so far?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's combine those options. I don't see why we shouldn't. If we say basically multi-edge something or other.
Yeah, multi-edge style goes to none means don't show multi-edges. Multi-edge style goes to automatic means use the default coloring. Multi-edge style goes to this list of things.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's
the only thing
reasonably
that's
clear.
weird there.
That may make sense, but multiple edge style goes to none shouldn't actually turn off or turn on the number of edges, right?
It's not the right name. It's not the right name here.
Right. I guess the problem with multi-edge style is that goes to none, right? Is that should show no edges, not one edge.
Right. Multi-edge rendering would be false, would be more the thing there.
And this really isn't my area, but would we ever want to actually sort of limit the number of multi-edges? In other words, if there's 20 multi-edges, we limit it to like 3 or 4? Oh, okay.
I mean, it's amusing, but I don't think it's necessary.
Right. Cool.
Right. Now we're talking about an option to NestGraph, right?
Yes.
So, right, we're not actually changing the rendering, right? We're changing the actual output graph.
We are. Right. Look, I have to say, I would favor putting the information along with this. So, I mean, possibly it could be something like this. Although I think that's not good because this thing here, let me just be clear. This thing here doesn't have to determine its length itself. You see what I'm saying? It could be, this could say NestGraph, and it could say table of hash, comma, hash, for example. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Interesting.
See, that's going to mess up because it's not going to have the right number of things. It should have, I mean, NestGraph shouldn't have done the removal of multi-edges. It was a mistake, but it did. So let's get a way to deal with that. So this can have an unknown number of edges produced, which is why something like this would be nice because it's generated with it, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you're tagging it, you almost always want to show multiple edges. I mean, we have options like directed edges. Maybe the right thing to do is just say multiple edges. Oh, I mean, directed edges is only true or false.
Yeah, I was trying to think of other options that are true, false, or some other specification.
Well, kicks, rain
Oh,
kick.
no,
Yeah.
ticks is not our finest hour.
Uh,
Yeah, most of the viz functions that are include or not have a corresponding style variant.
See, the other problem is these edges, if there was a situation in which the thing could produce 30 edges, see what I'm saying? Then we'd actually want an edge rendering function. Charles, what do you think?
Well, I'm still thinking. I mean, all those scenarios are fine, but we are trying to merge all of them in one function. I think that will be really difficult to manage, right?
I'm sorry, one
And
function or one option, or what are we talking about here?
I mean, there is one function and one options, right? So, for example, the styling is something actually you raised a while back, which is how do we set up style for tag edge, right? Which we haven't yet resolved, right? We should apply for all graph. And if we resolve that, that will also apply in this case, right? So if you have a
we
graph,
tag the edges, which we don't necessarily want to do because we don't want NestGraph to have all kinds of crud in its edges.
exactly, but you want to tag the edges only when there are multiple ones. Right, so there is that balance. That's why, I mean, by default, to actually build a tag edge, you actually use, we have the tag graph to actually generate those tags automatically for you. Tagged edge graph, I think.
Nope. I don't think we ever implemented this.
We do have tag. So there is index edge tagged graph, right? And then we have the default.
I'm sorry, what are you talking about? What's the function?
Index tagged graph, right? And we have edge tag graph, which actually add a tag automatically also.
Maybe we should just have tagged NestGraph. I mean, NestGraph, at least for me, is a pretty useful function. Bit annoying to have to put that whole thing in there. I mean, maybe tag NestGraph could color the edges differently by default.
Yes, and we can have modify the behavior of several other options, the automatic case for sure.
So maybe tag NestGraph puts in tags based on where in the list, based on numerical tag, based on where in the list the thing came from. And then we could do that. that basically has a set of rules based on tags. Just like edge style. Does that make sense? And that could be a
Yes.
general thing, that it picks up the tag for an edge. If it is a tagged edge, it picks up the tag. Does that make sense?
Yes.
How would you No, this is pretty reasonable. That's pretty reasonable. Let's implement this. And tagged edge style could be a general option for graph. Make sense? Where it is, again, like vertex style, works the same way as vertex style. Does that make sense?
Yes, but it's just taking the tag
tag.
as reference. Yep.
I like this. Okay, I really like this. Let's do it. Charles, can we get this to happen?
Yes.
And we'll need default colors for the different edges that will come through Tim, and so on, the usual cast of characters. But obviously you can look at tag NestGraph from the function repository as some as an inspiration. Right, we don't have much time. Let's have a quick look. Yes, we should absolutely add rule-based.
I don't think it's that obvious. The semantics of replace part and string replace part are different. And I don't think patterns make sense in replace part. I don't know that they make any sense or sufficient sense in string replace part. Right?
There's examples of that in the differences subsection there.
Your point is, I mean, this case where you have a single element here,
that
we don't
doesn't
know what it's doing.
A, it's not documented. B, it doesn't mean a single element, right? That it's right. It's
I see,
being
it's 1
treated as
through
a
8.
take spec.
I admit this is less obvious than I thought it was. Because the idea of the span 3, 8 arrows something is pretty weird.
Yeah, that was my initial thought of it. That's a syntax that could work, but it's strange notation.
It's kind of cool. I mean, it's very clear what it means.
Right. And right. And then the question becomes, how do you do the multi-part? Is it then going to be like a list of lists?
What do you mean by multi-part? You mean
right. So the third argument in string replace part can be a list of pairs. And then it does the replacement at all those positions.
right, because it got those from string position. Right? It got those the third argument came from string position.
Yep.
Well, I mean, you could clearly have a list of these replacements. I don't think you should do anything other than that.
Okay. Right, but which means you would then need to do a thread in order
Yeah, that's all right. I mean, this to me is a rather nice looking syntax. It's very clear what it means. I don't know how useful it is because I think a lot of times string replace part, well, I don't know, seems useful to me. String drop certainly supports 2 semi 8, right?
I'm guessing that string replace part probably supports this, even though it's not documented. I could be wrong, but
This?
not the rule, but I would guess, given that it secretly
That
secret,
too.
secretly supports integers, that it may very well. So if you right. Okay, no. So
All right. It would be my minor suggestion that we support both this and this.
I guess
For
one
this,
I guess one thing I didn't think about is there an operator form, in which case this is now potentially ambiguous.
there's not a documented operator form, and I didn't get one to trigger trying inputs, but
Okay, well
I
then
didn't.
The only operator form I could imagine would be a one argument operator form, in which case you'd have to use something like this.
right.
Sorry, string replace part has an operator form with 2 arguments.
Might be toast here.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it uses the list form.
Then we're toast. Okay, we're toast. This kill it. Can't work. It seemed marginal anyway. It can't work. Okay, I just want to. Oh my gosh, another date problem. What
Well,
is
this
the
is
date
this is
problem?
more of a date convenience, something that we've come across a few times. There's a handful of functions that generate lots of dates, and because tabular column is getting a lot of usage and it's a very efficient representation for dates, it kind of takes the place of like a date array. It's sometimes convenient to just spit back a bunch of dates as a tabular column so you can carry them around. And
From
so
conform dates.
yeah, so conform dates is an obvious example, but you might want to say date range. It's going to generate 40,000 dates. Instead of a list of 40,000 dates, I can get a tabular column that has 40,000 entries in it and is, a thousandth of the size. And rather than having a bunch of different functions to do that, we could have an option within the date functions that makes sense to have to say, give me a tabular column back instead of a list of dates.
Right, but this is similar to sparse array. Give me a sparse array back.
Yeah, and so this is the proposal I have here is basically to use the pre-existing option target structure, which exists for various matrix functions, to say, give me back.
Oh, okay. What does target structure do? I agree with. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so target
Right, so
structure.
you can give it sparse array, or dense if you want an ordinary list, or
Structured for
if it's
structured array.
structured, then it gives you sort of an automatically chosen.
Okay, this should probably have a tabular thing as a destination.
Yeah, I'm currently using structured here because under
No,
the hood.
I understand.
Yeah, but
I think it should be. This should have target structure arrow tabular.
Tabular column.
Tabular column.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Although tabular column is a structured array, just like any of the structured matrices or symmetrized array or quantity array.
Is or is not?
It is.
It is
Okay,
now.
so then that's fine. So then it should be in this list.
I mean, I'm just pointing out that we don't specify the exact structure for most of these things, right? We just say structured.
Right. So then we could just say tabular rather than saying tabular column or something.
Why are you insisting that we add an entry instead of just using the thing that means use the appropriate structure for this
Because
data?
we don't know it's the appropriate structure. If you've got a matrix, if you've got generating something with a matrix, and maybe does target structure exist in table, for example?
Not at this
No.
time.
Right. But I mean, if it did, then you could just say make it. It's like an import element for import, saying make it tabular or whatever else. Does that make sense?
No.
You don't understand, or you don't agree?
I don't agree that makes sense, right? So a tabular column is a type of array. A tabular is not.
Unfortunately, I really have to go in a second here. So
Okay.
I'm we should probably wrap this up, continue. I just want to raise this for 1 second.
Right. I mean, I feel like we've discussed this exact thing in LCC.
Well, that's what we have to, we need an actual solution. Right, we need an actual solution. There's too many different ad hoc solutions. Let's come up with an actual solution. Either it's either we put everything in the data repository, but people are not liking that.
Yeah.
And I'm not thrilled with that.
And right, and the right, I mean, the summary is, right, you know, we had sort of a couple of functions, and sort of you told us to go off and you know, nail some things down, and you know, Julio was going to take the lead on this, and then apparently Julio has been very busy with other things for 15, and so it stalled a little.
So let's make sure we get somebody, maybe somebody other than Julio needs to take the lead here.
Okay.
I don't think Julio is the right person to take the lead. Yeah, I think it should be somebody more in the whole ILD. I mean, Nick or
I don't see why something that's combining a whole bunch of different functions is an ILD thing, but
well, maybe it's more LCC, but it's not Julio's responsibility. But I mean, it needs to be delegated to somebody who can look at many functions, right? And that's not what, you know, Julio is specializing in machine learning functions. So, you know, he's not the right person for this.
okay.
Another
Makes
thing, by the
sense.
way, I just want to please, can we bring this back? Because this is an important one. I consider this a high priority thing. I think it's fairly easy to solve, and I think it will be very useful. I don't
think it's as simple as you think it is.
It's
but
not that simple. Okay, I admit it's not that simple, but it is highly useful, and it's something we keep on needing, and we keep on throwing things in weird dollar variables and so on. Okay, second point here. Whatever happened to our progress monitoring, to the top leveling of progress monitoring?
Well, that's another stall Julio thing.
Then let's get rid of, okay, those things do not go to Julio. If we need to actually reorganize things, then let's do it, because those things need to go to somebody who can actually do them, and Julio isn't that person. So can we please surface all the things? If you want to bring those to
well, I manage exactly 0 people. Now, if you want to assign some people to me, I can do something.
Well, we'd be happy to. You've always rejected that. We'd be delighted to.
Okay, well, then we can have this conversation in an appropriate venue.
Yeah, right. Okay, fine. All right, let's wrap up for now here, but we do want that conversation to happen. So Carla, if you can feed that conversation to Tracy, Tracy can bring that to an appropriate venue.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Which
meanwhile,
conversation?
The conversation about how we get these projects currently assigned to Julio that shouldn't have been assigned to Julio actually done.
Okay, well, Julio did do all of the progress indicators.
I know Julio's done many, many things. It's just, this is not his brief to do these kinds of things. So,
but you're right. Well, but he developed a whole progress indicator thing.
I'm well aware.
So it made sense. Saying this should never have gone to him is not.
No, I'm saying it's no good to have something right now go to him. He's got a million other things to do. It does not make sense for this project to go to him right now. So let's please take it. Carla should take it to Tracy, and we will discuss that in an appropriate venue, how to deal with that.
I don't think we're quite ready for that. I think I can come up with something, but
okay, but that's a separate discussion. Please, can Carla please take that to Tracy, and getting a list of projects that are known of this type that got assigned to Julio would be very useful for that discussion.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Thanks very much, guys. See you all. We've got more things to discuss next time, as usual. We made good progress. Okay, see you.
Cheers.